like to call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified Board of Education to order at 7 o'clock. Just a reminder, this meeting is both recorded and live streamed, so please silence or turn off your cell phones at this time. We can stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Benita Daniel.
Here.
Stephanie Olson.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here. Approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Boulay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports. District Advisory Committee, trustee Boulay.
We have nothing to report.
District English Language Advisory Committee, trustee Clements.
Nothing to report.
Education Committee is mine, and I have nothing to report. Facilities Committee, trustee Olson.
Nothing to report.
Policy Committee, trustee Daniel.
Nothing to report.
Safety Committee is mine, I have nothing to report. Wellness Committee, trustee Olson.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5, governing board reports. Trustee Boulay.
Thank you. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer, and I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Trustee Daniel.
I'm enjoying my summer, and I hope everyone is too. And I do not have anything to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Clements.
Since the last board meeting that I actually attended, I did attend the high school graduation along with all of my peers, and it's always great, to see the success of those kids. And other than that, Mr. President, I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Trustee Olson.
Since the last board meeting I attended, I attended the 2x2x2 meeting with Dr. Nicholas, trustee Pombo, and that was great. And I also attended a CSBA workshop on the state budget with trustee Pombo. And that is all I have.
Thank you. And all I have to report is that on June 14th, I attended the CSD meeting in trustee Olson's stead to give a report on LUSD, and that concludes my report. Receiving of public comments. The entire board appreciates hearing from members of the community and public at large. The board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public also may bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. I have no blue cards. Would anyone from the public like to make public comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to consent items for consideration. Actions proposed for consent are consistent with the approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. Trustees receive board agenda background information in advance of scheduled meetings and are prepared to vote with knowledge on the consent items. The consent items are as follows. Governing board meeting minutes, contracts under $50,000, ratification of 2022-2023 new hires, ratification of 2023-2024 new hires, ratification of resignations, and ratification of school-sponsored overnight trips. Would any member of the board like to remove any of these items for discussion or separate vote?
Move to approve consent items.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Clements, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. District Administrative Report.
Point of order?
Yes, ma'am. Trustee Olson, will you do the honors?
Yes. We'd like to welcome the new hires to Lammersville. For 2022-2023, we have Daniel Morfin, warehouse technician. And for the 2023-2024 school year, Ryan Abdulmalik, music teacher. Nalia Quintana, food service worker. Macy Davis Sutherland, self-contained classroom teacher. Sindhu Murali Menon Damu, food service worker. Sophia Diaz, restorative practice specialist. Jason Dixon, director of maintenance, operations, transportation, and facilities. Amira Dunn, alternative education teacher. Benjamin Faubert, director of educational services. Colbert Gill, learning commons technician. Aparna Grace, high school vice principal. Erica Hart, self-contained classroom teacher. Jiang Kinser, self-contained classroom teacher. Rushira Kulkarni, physics teacher. Catherine Malone, self-contained classroom teacher. David Martoglio, self-contained classroom teacher. Christina Million, library media teacher. Jessica Murga, speech-language pathologist assistant. Jamani Woods, restorative practices specialist. And Jin Yu, for food service worker. Welcome to the Lammersville family.
Welcome. Jason Dixon is in attendance this evening, if he'd like to come forward and say a few words.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm really grateful to be here. My name again is Jason Dixon. Lots of experience. I do have an education degree, taught school my first couple of years and decided that that wasn't for me. And so went into the private sector, but back in schools, most recently working for operations, Sac City Schools for several years, interim safety director for Tulare County Office of Education. And if you need me, feel free to reach out and contact me anytime, but I'll be here for you. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. And our new Director of Education Services, Ben Faubert, if you'd like to come up and say hi.
Good evening, President Pombo, board members, Superintendent Nicholas. I'm not new, but I'm new to my position, and I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to move into a different type of work in the next coming years. I've been a part of the Lammersville family for a long time, and I'm proud to continue being a part of the Lammersville family. When we opened the high school 9 years ago, and when I took the job 10 years ago, the same year that Dr. Nicholas came on board, we had lots of hopes and dreams, and I'd like to say that we've exceeded what we even thought at that time. So it's really exciting to be in a position in educational services where I'm supporting both the curriculum and instruction department and the student services department in all of the things that we're doing as a district to bring forward just innovative programs for students in student services, looking at restorative justice practices, looking at ways to increase attendance, in addition to supporting the curriculum department and our aims to increase CTE options for students, not just at the high school, but at the middle school level, and to grow our visual and performing arts program, which is a passion of mine. As you know, I was a former music educator, and so that's something that I'm already hard at work doing. And just really proud to be working with the group of educators that are here in Lammersville Unified who are so passionate about what they do. You know, when I started, there's a quote by Goethe that says, "Treat people as if they were what they ought to be, and you help them to become what they're capable of being." I feel like we do that as a district. And students are a major stakeholder, and I think a lot of times our public school districts forget that students are our customers, and even when they're most in need is when they need us the most, to treat them as they ought to be, and then that is what they will become. And I think we can continue that excellent work that we do, TK through 12. So thank you so much for having trust in me and letting me have this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and welcome to your new position. All right. Moving on to item 7, District Administrative Report, Superintendent's Report.
So I wanted to bring the board an update. This is breaking news. I got it yesterday afternoon, and I want to make sure that I'm following the board's direction. We had a comprehensive conversation with our architect about the high school classroom extension / new classrooms. And so we have 2 renderings. I believe the first rendering represents what the board directed me to do, but I also asked him to, if it was the board's will, they wanted to slim down, trim down a version of it. We can also have a discussion with the board about that. However, when I got the initial cost analysis, the rendering I believe is most representative of the board's direction is just a small amount more expensive. But I want to make sure we're on the right track so that we can tell them to keep drawing. So if you can pull up this is the one that the board's direction is to make it match the high school. These would be the 2 split wings south of the classroom wing with no covered corridor in between them. Arched walkway, which aligns nicely with the CTE wing and the learning commons. So that's what I believe you guys were directing us to go in that direction. The second option, which is again kind of trimmed down or like more stock, would be this one, which is more rectangular. Again, it doesn't have a covered walkway in between. The archways are not present. So I wanted to show you the 2 renderings that were brought forward and just do a check-in with the board that the archwayed walkways was where you wanted to go, because we're in the point where it's time to start drawing for real and getting ready for DSA approval.
I'm Team Archway.
I am too. The option that's up there now, it doesn't nearly match quite as well, and it almost seems like an entirely more modern design than I don't know if modern's the right word, but a different design than what we already have on campus.
Yeah,
So I'm for option 1 as well.
Because if you notice the portables that have been delivered, just seeing temporary portables, they're temporary, but they do look so different than the architecture of the high school. And so, yeah, I think it does make a difference.
Option 1. Yep, I like it. I just met it.
So I'm team option 1 as well. I do have a question, and I apologize that I did not ask this, but I didn't think about it. I just happened to see it on this rendering. So is the plan to extend the fencing such that these buildings are on the outer perimeter, or to leave the fencing so that they're outside the perimeter?
That's a great question. The least gulag architectural style possible is what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
We need the security fences. We have a security committee, and we take that seriously. But it would be inside, and there would be no breaking that away from. No, that's just part of the campus proper. Okay. And they still have to block off the whole campus, but no, it would be what you said. Sorry, that wasn't very articulate.
I have a question.
Yes.
Which one is the slightly expensive one?
The one with the archways is about $300,000 more expensive based on an estimate, but we're talking about the $13 million buildings. So when 300, I mean, it's funny, it's just zeros, right? But it's a lot of money. But it is for when you think these are going to be here 100 years from now, $300,000 seems like a good investment in the community and the school and the environment for the students and staff.
I'm
Well,
still with option 1. Thank you.
I feel like option one looks like it was part of the high school from the beginning, and option two looks like it was an afterthought. And I much prefer it to all look congruent and like it was meant to be, rather than something we plop down afterwards. So I think you have your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, District Maintenance and Operations Report.
It's quick. Sorry, I wasn't ready. Thanks for having me. Good evening, everyone. Our custodial staff is deeply involved in their deep cleaning activities for the summer. We got about 7 weeks left till school starts, so not much time. The pool continues to be a little difficult. One of the heaters, heater number 2 is going now. Heater number 1, the part failed. It's under warranty. We're dealing with the manufacturer getting it replaced. Solar's working. Water temp remains consistent, pretty much around the 80-degree mark, so it's able to be used every day. Updating our projects. The freezer installs. Bethany freezer is assembled. The electrician finished today. He wired in the breakers today. The piping's done for the condensate, the freezer, that's worked. So I emailed the contractor today and said it's ready to fire up whenever they're able to come out and start it up. Cuesta, they're gonna start on that this week. The electrical is fully assembled, the roof's on, ready to go. Waiting for electricians to pull the wire to the units. They'll put the lights in, that kind of stuff. So that'll get started this week. And hopefully that'll be done by sometime next week. That'll be great. The fencing at Lammersville, demo started on the 12th. They have all the posts set on the north side of campus and the west side of campus. They put most of the top rail in on those two sides of campus. They started pulling fabric from the warehouse side down to the fence line, got about 100 feet down. There's big piles of fabric. They'll pull more fabric tomorrow. They started demo on the southwest corner where the parent drop-off is. They started demo that stuff today. So that's moving along. They say they'll be done before school starts, but the way they're going, they'll be done sometime middle of next month. They're going pretty quick. So that project's moving along good. The carpet and flooring replacement at Bethany is done. The 500 wings done, 600 wings done. They finished the band room Monday. I had to come in Monday, and then they tore out the lovely turquoise and orange tile in the foyer to the multipurpose room. That's no longer here. That was the last little piece that we had left on campus. They also did me a favor. We're doing a remodel for the office because of the new entrance, and we were able to move the furniture, and they were able to patch in the flooring for me there while they were on campus. They finished that yesterday. So they're completely done. They have some material in the multi they got to pick up sometime this week, but the work is all done, so that's good news. So speaking of Bethany, we demoed the cabinetry last week. I opened up the inside of the wall on Monday. I'm waiting for a definitive date from the door contractor before I actually punch through and take out the window and cut out the opening in the wall. I want to open as least amount of time as possible. So when I have a definitive date, I'm ready to go. I'll just pop the blade in there and open that up. The office remodel at Wickland, the grounds guys went in and removed the bushes, asked them to remove for the new sidewalk. It's gonna have to go in because of where the door is going, where the window is. Once I'm done at Bethany, I'll slide over and open up the inside of that wall. And then again, when I have a definitive date, I will go and open up the wall completely, put a board over it, and wait for the dooring company to come out. I'm trying to keep it as little time with a board there as possible. Room 25 at Lammersville, we had to pull off Lammersville last week and head over to Bethany to do stuff in the office because the carpet people were a little ahead of schedule. But the wall is up, it's taped, textured, mudded. We're painting today, yesterday and today. And then, so I will pull down the carpet. We have some attic stock carpet from some of our construction job. I'm gonna try and use that in there. I'll pull it down, it's up in the warehouse. I'll pull it down, start measuring, cutting that out. With a little bit of luck, we'll get the part flooring in by Friday. And we'll wrap that project up by the end of this week. That'd be great. Lighting replacement in the small gym at the high school. Everyone was a big fan of the lighting replacement we did at the main gym. So I got approval from Thor to do the small gym as well. Parts have been ordered. Expect that work to be done in the next 2 weeks. So that'll be good. The media room at the high school, the request is made from the instructor of the school to tear out the carpet in the media room, which is when you come to the I think it's called the media room, maybe I'm wrong. Media room, the first door when you come to the library on the right-hand side, they do video stuff in there. The request is made to remove the flooring and leave it concrete. I wasn't big on that. I talked to our flooring contractor. They recommend putting LVT, so we're going to put black LVT, the vinyl tiles, on the whole floor. That project's, I've already approved all that. The material, everything's been ordered. Hope that should be done in July. I want to get that done before school starts, obviously. The cow shade work, still waiting on thermostats, and expect that work to get done this summer. And then staffing update. We did interviews last Tuesday. We offered jobs to 5 people. So I believe everyone accepted and moving through the hiring process. That leaves us with 3 openings. We have the floater position, and the lady took the job here. And then we have the 2 eating positions at Costa Elementary to fill. And we're looking to interview for those next week. And that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions. Other than that, nothing going on.
I just have one. If I recall, the high school has concrete like in the hallways, like.
There's carpet in that room. There's stained concrete in the.
Yeah. Oh, so the carpet, because it has like the adhesive residual.
I'm not familiar with the program. I don't want to overspeak, but the request was made to have the carpet taken out. These guys would know better than I exactly what they do, but they put a backdrop in there, and
I wasn't clear. I'm sorry. You said that the request was made to leave it bare concrete, and you didn't like that, and so you put in the vinyl tile. You wanted to put in vinyl tile, and I'm like, were they going to stain it so that it was the same as the hallways?
Well, at one point we talked about maybe putting epoxy on the floor instead of the bare concrete.
Is that what we have in the hallways? Is epoxy?
No, it's stained concrete. It's different.
Oh, it's
not epoxy.
different. Okay, all right.
I don't know if you've ever seen it. They bring polishers in. They spray color on. They buff it out. It's stained polished concrete. That's not what's in that room there.
Okay.
I didn't want to leave it just glue because it's sticky and then it's not a good thing when you pull it up, right? So we had to put something on there.
Let's just leave the adhesive residue in there. They can squeak when they walk. No, I'm just kidding, of course. Thank you. I was just curious.
Sure.
Thank you. You've been busy.
Thank you.
Item 9, action items. Item A, consider approval of a 4-year contract extension for the superintendent starting July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2027. Staff report.
Yes, so the following report is per regulation based in Senate Bill 1436. This contract extension begins on July 1st, 2023 and runs through June 30th, 2027. It is based on a 240 day work year at a per diem of $1,144. It includes any generally applied compensation increases, medical coverage, a year 14 longevity step, and 19 vacation days. It also applies general administrator benefits, including appropriate reimbursement, AXA dues, degree stipends, technology, and 1 sick day per month. That is my report.
Questions or comments by the board?
I do have a comment. And everybody relax, wait till I'm done. Dr. Nicholas, it's unfortunate that the public doesn't, it is fortunate and unfortunate that the public does not get to see all of the mental gymnastics that happen as it relates to school finance. And this is going to sound bad at first, but of all the ideas that you've come up with for school finance, about half of them don't work. But that's because, that sounds bad, but the reality is what happens is we say, you come to the board and you say, this is my plan of action. And anybody that's in the military will tell you, no battle plan ever survives first contact with the enemy, right? Like, you say, this is what I'm going to do. And then, well, that didn't work, so now this is what I'm going to do. And then, well, that didn't work, or that worked halfway, so now we got to do this. And that didn't work, so now we're going to do this. And I just wish that the public could see all of the thinking and strategizing and effort that is made, that you have done to make sure that the school is built, right, when the students are walking up the sidewalk ready to go to school. So I strongly support item A.
To make a sports analogy, if with half of his ideas not working, the other half do work, which is a 500 batting average, which is Hall of Fame numbers, so there's that. I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the four-year contract extension for the superintendent starting July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2027.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Clements, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very proud to represent this district. It's a great place to be.
Congratulations, Dr. Nicholas, and it's a very well-deserved extension of contract. And I just want to say that as Principal Faubert mentioned, your heart is in the right place for the stakeholders, who are our kids, along with the teachers. So thank you for all your effort.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Moving on to item B, consider approval of the 2023-2024 Local Control Plan, LCAP. Staff report?
Yes, for the last and final time, this 3-year LCAP presentation, which has been backed by popular demand multiple times, this will be the last version of this version of the LCAP presentation by Assistant Superintendent Sharp.
The last version of this version for now.
Yes. Good evening, President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas. Thank you for having me. As Dr. Nicholas mentioned, this is year 3 of our LCAP plan. So while it looks the same, it is the same with few tweaks along the way, because that's the plan, is that this is a 3-year plan. So this now is going to be year 3, 23-24 is what will be different. So just keep that in mind as we're going along here. The LCAP state priorities haven't changed. There's still the 8 that we're required to include in our goals. Our goals are still the same as systematic closure of the opportunity gaps, instruction and curriculum efficacy, and 21st century outcomes and stakeholder communication. In goal 1, you can see that we have actions in place and metrics that we follow to ensure that we are meeting our metrics of goal 1, one of them being well-maintained facilities, and we can say that we did not have any Williams complaints in the first quarter. Along with this, we look at English language development teaching, looking at decreasing the dropout rate, and again, maintaining clean up-to-date facilities. Goal 2, instruction and curriculum efficacy. This involves professional development for staff, providing 21st century learning experiences and content. And here we're focused on implementing Common Core state standards, decreasing suspension rate, including Project Lead the Way and other CTE aligned courses. Goal 3 is our 21st century outcomes and stakeholder communication. This is where we are looking at fostering positive parent relationships, focused on 21st century educational program. We conduct parent and student surveys, engage the parents in many school and district functions, and we have participation of focus groups that include parents and students. Now for our LCAP budget overview, at the end of the year, we provide a detailed budget. This was made available, as well as the entire document, for public viewing on our website since Friday, June 16th. I'll review the numbers now. The total revenue projected for Lammersville Unified School District is $96,308,510, of which $85,369,194 is local control funding formula. $6,294,710 is other state funds, $3,742,809 is local funds, and $901,797 is federal funds. Of the $85,369,194 in LCFF funds, $3,559,241 is generated based on the enrollment of high-need students. Those are our foster youth, English learner, and low-income students. Any questions?
Have you done this so many times now you can do it in your sleep?
I'm hoping I don't have dreams about it. I'm not going to lie.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
So for the next one, can we add the pennies? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. We'll see what we can do.
I would just like to say thank you to all the staff, and I know there are a bunch of staff who are involved in the LCAP process. Thank you for jumping through the numerous hoops that the state continues to throw our way year after year, and all the work you do to get it right.
And I'd just like to add to that, not only do you mark all the boxes that the state requires, but you do it keeping students at the focus. I mean, I love the whiteboard in your office with the goals up there, and it just, you know, that they're always in the forefront of your minds, and I appreciate all the work on that for all of you.
Thank you.
I would have to echo those two comments
Thank you.
to the entire team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions or comments, I'll
Move to approve the 2023-2024 Local Control Accountability Plan.
Second.
on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Boulay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of the 2023-2024 July 1st budget financial report. Staff report?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Assistant Superintendent Grijalva, Director Kaiser, and their team. The annual budget is a very complicated endeavor. They've met all of the requirements, and we recommend approval.
Questions or comments by the board?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, after attending that, I've always appreciated the work that our business services people do, because it's school finance is just a real difficult calculus for even regular accountants, I think. So attending the budget workshop just recently, though, and realizing the pressures and the constant flux that they have to deal with, wondering, is there a surplus? Is there a deficit? How does that affect us? What's getting taken away? What's getting dropped? I just really appreciate the efforts to stay on top of things and keep us getting those positive interim reports every year, and all the work you do to get the budgets so exact. Thank you so much.
And I would just like to say thank you to all the people who are involved in the budget financial report as well. I know it's a lot of work, a lot of things go into it, and you always seem to do a good job. Thank you.
I agree. And as a board member reading the 160 some odd pages of 63 pages of the budget, my favorite part is at the end when you're looking at the checks and it says pass, 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 pass. So
Yeah.
great job. Thank you so much. I'm sure it's very logistically tedious at times, but thank you for all your hard work and for counting all those numbers. Thanks.
I'll move to approve the 2023-2024 July 1st budget financial report.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Boulay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 222312 regarding the 2023-2024 Educational Protection Account. Staff report?
Yes, this is a requirement by the state. It's associated with two different propositions, Prop 30 and Prop 55. It's additional monies that came through these propositions in the tune of increased taxes. We spend the money in this account on teachers, specifically for the mainstream program and also the music program, and we recommend approval.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 22-23-12 regarding the 2023-2024 Education Protection Account.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Olson. Roll call vote, please.
Lisa Boulay,
Aye.
Colin Clements,
Aye.
Anita Daniel. Aye. Stephanie Olson.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye. Motion passes. Item E, consider approval to adjourn from regular session to open public hearing. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve to adjourn from regular session to open public hearings.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Olson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in open public hearing. Item F, open public hearing regarding the issuance of bonds for Lammersville School District Community Facilities District number 2007-1, Mountain House Shea Homes. Staff report?
Yes, on May 18th of 2022, I gave a comprehensive presentation of what we call the money chase here in Lammersville Unified. When Mountain House was envisioned, they had a lovely plan for the generation of funds for K-8 schools. Over time, that system has collapsed on itself, and the dynamics that occur when you have to have a state vote for state construction bonds, and you have multiple developers doing multiple developer strategies to make profit and on their projects, and while the district is dutifully building schools within each of the villages identified for schools. The high school further complicated that, but it wasn't paid for by Mello-Roos bonds, so I'll leave that out of this. So this resolution and the one that follows it is really about us chasing money. The price escalations for construction, and we learned this on Costa, or we experienced it, we didn't learn it, we knew it going in. We need to generate as much money possible to build the next school. So it's kind of a pay it forward idea. We can refinance a CFD bond, and we can use a portion of that money to reimburse monies that we invested within that CFD that passes the test of what we can and can't do with the CFD language. And it would allow us to pay forward that money, a portion of that money, to the soft costs for the next school. So to build a school, you need to have soft costs, architectural drawings, you have to have engineers come out, and you have to go to the state and have them approve, and you don't get that for free, you pay for it. And so the soft costs are around $4 million per school, and then whatever the market bears for the construction of the school. So this is a long process we're going to go through. This is one of the first steps, is the board passing this. So what this does specifically is it's part of our ongoing effort. This first resolution will authorize district to refinance outstanding bonds previously issued for CFD 2007-1 and leverage the savings to reimburse the district for prior expenditures of the proceeds of the 2019 lease revenue bonds on the district support facilities. The reimbursement would provide funds that the district could use to finance the design, engineering, construction of one or more K-8 schools serving in neighborhoods I and K north of Byron Highway. I can assure you won't be enough to pay the full soft cost of one school, but when you get into a fight with a developer and you're asking them to pay for a shortfall, it's better to ask for a smaller number than a bigger number. So that's our strategy. Hopefully this one falls on the good 50% and not the bad 50%.
So I forgot to bring my notes. So I was shooting from the, I was speaking from the cuff, and this financing speaks to what I was talking about in item A, that the reason that half of them don't work is not because they were bad ideas or not because they weren't well executed. It's because, the things that we have faced as a district or you have faced as a superintendent include a previous governor who no longer believed that, that bonds, state bonds should be passed. And it's like, well, all the other schools were built that way. And developers that go out of business and sell the land, and conflicting agreements executed by previous, entities, right? And all of those things, right? So through no fault of yours or our own, it's just a matter of we employ this strategy or you employ this strategy, and okay, that's not going to fly. We're going to do this strategy. And the miracle is, as President Pombo said, is half of them working sounds bad, but it's really, all-star level play when you look at it that way. So anyway, thank you. I wanted to clarify that, because if only half of them worked sounded uncomplimentary, then I totally missed it.
You also could have mentioned the fact that it all involves developers and their lawyers looking for ways to get out of their contractual.
Well, they are definitely profit-motivated ventures.
Indeed.
For sure.
Would anyone from the public like to join in on the hearing at this time? Moving on to item G, consider approval to close public hearing and return to regular session.
Move.
To close the public hearing and return to regular session.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Olson and seconded by trustee Clements, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 222313, authorizing the issuance of bonds by Lammersville Joint Unified School District on behalf of Community Facilities District Number 2007-1 Mountain House Shea Homes to refund outstanding bonds and reimburse the Lammersville Joint Unified School District for prior expenditures. Staff report?
Yes, so if the first resolution is explaining what we intended to do, the second resolution is the board giving direction. So the second resolution would approve the issuance of the bonds to accomplish the refinancing of CFD 2007-1 outstanding bonds and approve the related documentation. So these two resolutions set in the course forward for the plan. We still have to finish work with the developer. We still have to finish multiple pricing things, and all of this won't be complete until August, but we can't start without saying, here's what we want to do, and the board now gives direction in this second resolution to go forth and do it.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 22-23-13, authorizing the issuance of bonds by the Lammersville Joint Unified School District on behalf of Community Facilities District Number 2007-1 Mountain House Shea Homes to refund outstanding bonds and reimburse the Lammersville Joint Unified School District for prior expenditures.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Daniel. Are there any further questions or comments by the board?
I just have a comment. So while I was going through the agenda, I was kind of lost with this particular section, especially H and I. And I reached out to Dr. Nicholas with regards to understanding this better before I sat down here to approve. And thanks to Dr. Nicholas, he explained it very well today morning and today afternoon. And I did get to understand that we are already thinking about the financial aspect of our neighborhood schools, which are I and K. And that just makes me feel like, okay, we are thinking ahead, planning ahead, and that's a great feel for me to be sitting here. And thank you so much for all your effort. So that's why I had to say it's a well-deserved extra, extension. So thank you.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Lisa Boulay,
Aye.
Colin Clements,
Aye.
Vanessa Daniel,
Aye.
Stephanie Olson,
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye. Motion passes. Item I, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution 222314, approving the issuance and sale of special tax bonds for Lammersville School District Community Facilities District Number 2007-1 Mountain House Shea Homes with respect to improvement area number 1 of the Lammersville School District Community Facilities District Number 2007-1 Mountain House Shea Homes and approving the lost my place. My computer decided to jump. And approving and authorizing related document actions. I believe we've already had the staff report on this, so
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 22-23-14, approving the issuance and sale of special tax bonds for Lammersville School District Community Facilities District Number 2007-1 Mountain House Shea Homes with respect to improvement area number 1 of the Lammersville School District Community Facilities District Number 2007-1 Mountain House Shea Homes, and approving and authorizing related documents and actions.
Second.
on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Olson, Are there any further questions or comments by the board? Roll call vote, please.
Lisa Boulay,
Aye.
Colin Clements,
Aye.
Benita Daniel,
Aye.
Stephanie Olson,
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 10, information and discussion items. Item A, process for programs, initiatives, and contracts. Staff report?
Yes, I'm going to give the presentation from the podium, but I want to give art credit to Assistant Superintendent Sharp. So the lovely blue hue and the ocean kind of vibe was all her.
Very nice.
You have 3 minutes. No.
So good evening, Mr. President, board members. It's my pleasure tonight to speak briefly about the processes, the programs, the initiatives, the curriculum, and what we do to move forward from what we need to having the board approve it, buying it, and bringing it back and executing it to the best of our ability. So let's talk about the final step of what we do when we bring in a new program, a new initiative that's related to a program or a new curriculum. So the first thing is I think to explain the basics of our board agenda that's online is if you click onto our board agenda, you get an outline that's similar to this. If it were on paper, it would look a lot like this. A 2-page document, an outline, one might even say a table of contents. But if you go into the body of the agenda, and Noelle is scrolling through it right now, the real agenda looks like this. It's a very thick document. We just grabbed an old random one from 2013, but this is all the documents that go into the formation of a board agenda and the approvals that the board makes, having been educated through the agenda, through board presentations, through questions with individual staff, through me, and all the work we lead up to making a decision. So this is an example. If a person were to look into the agenda and click into it, you can see a staff report, a general overview, and any pertinent documents along the way. And why that's important is a board meeting is the board's meeting in public to discuss, while the board discusses the district's business. And there's no more important business in the district than educating our kids. And that means we have to have great teachers, great staff, great administrators, and we have to have great tools for them to execute their skills so that our kids learn to the best of their ability. So that's how the board agenda works. So I wanted to give a quick overview on where to go find information if one were to be curious of the details. The details, some of it is tedious, some of it is dense, some of it is a lot of numbers, some of it's a lot of words. But this is what a real board agenda looks like.
And I remember years ago being hand-delivered those agendas like that
Yes.
to our houses before we got computers.
Yes, we called it the Pony Express. Okay, so again, a classroom is filled with a lot of different things. But for the most part, the educational purposes is a curriculum, supplemental materials, and intervention materials. And in order to do so, we have funding sources. So the main source of funds that we do when we bring in materials into our schools come from the general fund, or LCFF, base grant, from supplemental grant, which is LCFF, for low-income English learners and foster youth. We don't have large numbers of those kids, so that's our allocation from the state. We get title funds from the federal government. Title I is for low income, Title II is for professional development, Title III is for English learners. And then with the funds that came in to combat impacts on education with the pandemic, you have ESSER funds and CARES funds. And both of those sets of funds, along with the title funds, have really rules attached of where the money is supposed to go. And in almost all cases, it's about student learning. Sometimes you can buy people, sometimes you have to buy things. And those things are typically curriculum, programs, initiatives, and interventions. So to make it simple, if we have a $96 million general budget, but let's say a $100 million budget. In a $100 million budget, approximately 84 to 87 cents on the dollar goes to salary and benefits. So that leaves about $15 per 100 to pay for things. And every year we have about, in this scenario, a $100 million budget, $100 million budget, $85 million going to salaries and benefits. That's $15 million we have to spend to the educational tools and needs of our students. And so when we bring forward initiatives and programs and supplements, that's what we're doing, is we're directed to spend the money on the kids' educational needs, and we spend it through the process I explained using this document. Okay? So I'm going to say 3 different processes. They're all relatively simple, but they start with a comprehensive analysis. So if we do a curriculum adoption, and there's 2 different types. We use a lot of open source curriculum. It drives down the costs on the district. And then sometimes we go out and we buy a comprehensive, like English language arts curriculum, which has a basal reader and lots of information and teacher's editions and supplemental materials, and it comes in a big comprehensive thing. But those are very expensive, and they usually come in a 7-year adoption cycle. So here's what we do. We know we need an adoption. We just adopted a science curriculum for 6th through 8th grade. So we start with a committee of teachers. We get administrators. We get our coordinators and the person in charge of curriculum instruction, which is Assistant Superintendent Sharp and her team. We become informed consumers. We look at the state framework and the state standards. We look at what our needs of our students and the culture of how we do instruction, and we start to look for materials that'll meet our needs. We look at the data and student needs. We identify what the curriculum, what we want, and identify any gaps that we might want to close. We research the available materials, and then we go out and we say, okay, publisher A and B, maybe C. Sometimes we get 4 or 5, but usually it's like three publishers. They come in and train the committee made up of teachers, administration, and the curriculum team. We identify what we want to pilot. Once they've gone through the process, the best one comes through a robust debate. And then we take it to the ed committee on an information night. And then once all of that process and analysis and execution and experience and feedback have been taken, we bring it to the board for approval. That's a curriculum adoption. Supplemental curricular contracts and programs work a little bit differently. The process is the same, but no curriculum is perfect. Education materials have holes. Data tells us where the holes are at, and when we see a hole, we go find something to fill it. So that's where you end up with supplemental curricular contracts and programs. So again, very similar stuff. We look at the student data, find the gaps, find the needs, vet the materials, have the company come in, pick the ones we think are best fits for us, put it into a pilot process. The big ones we bring forward to a parent information night, and we bring those recommendations forward for approval. And the one thing I will also say, and this team over here to my left is very strong at this, we're all committed to this, and our site leadership teams are committed to this, is if we decide to do something, we do it to the best of our ability. We train our people, we expect them to use it, we take their feedback, we want to know what works and what doesn't work, but we want to, if we're going to move on to something new, we want to know we gave it our best effort before we do so, and we want to know the data is valid before we make a pivot. And by creating that culture and the hard work of the folks over here, we have a good relationship through these committees, through our school sites, through our teachers, to make sure we have what's best available at the time we bring it forward. Data collection tools are now part of the game. One of the challenges, and we brought this forward through a number of presentations earlier this year, is each one of these companies is a capitalist venture. They are venture and adventure. They want to make money, and so they establish a great tool, but there is not one great tool that covers all the needs of a school district, so you have to have multiple tools, which actually feeds what we're trying to do. We don't want one curriculum to give us one piece of information, and the publisher says, if you get X, then you're good for Y. We want to say, well, if you say that's so, then we have 4 or 5 other things that say, yeah, we corroborated and looked at it, and we realize that that correlation is true or not true. Because, again, nothing's perfect, and there's always holes, and we try to fill them. So, again, we'd go through the same process of vetting for the data collection tools that we have. We just replaced Illuminate with EduClimber because Illuminate didn't evolve with the time, so we went and found something to replace it. And then finally, renewals. I know President Pombo at the last few meetings said, now, we're approving a lot of things here on this agenda, but understand that this is all a part of a process, and at the end of the year, we get ready for the next year. So in the approvals that come forward, you have new things, new curriculum adoptions or open source materials that we want to pay fees for. There's supplements, and then there's renewals. If something's working for us, we look at, is it doing what we need it to do? Does the data say it's working for the kids? And if so, we bring forward it to the board and say, we're going to add another 3 years to this process because it's helping us. So take a classroom again and think the teacher does a whole group lesson. There's small group instruction. There's, in the small group, the teacher gets a small group of kids, and the other kids have to do things. They all have a computer. So we can utilize multiple resources, multiple tools, multiple curriculum in one classroom period where all the kids get the same information and all the kids are working on something customized. So that's our philosophy of education here in Lammersville. These are the processes we do to vet materials that we bring forward for board approval. So finally, the last step to this is on big items, we have at least one or multiple presentations to the board. If not, if it's a smaller item, it shows up in a staff report and all the appropriate materials and details and contracts in the board agenda. Either through consent if it's less than $50,000 for an item, or above $50,000 through action items, we bring it forward to the board can discuss it, we've given presentations, it's been thoroughly vetted, it's been explained, and the board approves. And then finally, every board meeting, we bring forward warrants. The warrants is at the story in numbers of the expenditures of the district, so that a person in the community or the board can look and say, oh, they're spending money on the things that they said they were going to spend the money on. And so it is in a comprehensive way, I hope I've explained how we go through a process of analysis, piloting, data, choosing, bringing it to the board in a systematic way to make sure our students, our teachers, and our staff have the materials they need to be what we are proud to say, the highest achieving school district in San Joaquin County. Any questions?
I don't have a question. It's more of a comment, and you covered it a little bit in your closing, but I just wanted to reiterate it for anybody out there that's paying attention. All these things, every step that you talked about, all through that, the board has knowledge of that at board meetings, and therefore the public has knowledge of that if they follow the board meetings. We know when a committee for curriculum adoption is set up. We follow their process and progress. We can go to a lot of the public meetings that are the informational meetings that are held for parents. So we know all these things along the steps, and we hopefully are paying attention during the board meetings. So it's not like you bring us something and say, we want to spend this money, is it okay? And we say yes. We've been part of that process all the way through. We're just saying yes to the final decision.
That is correct.
Dr. Nicholas, this is a great presentation. Will this be a little vignette that we can make to share online? Because I think it would be great for the community members who want to know what role they can play in the process or how they can learn about things.
This can be clipped and will be placed on the education department.
Yeah, I think that would
probably
be
curriculum
great.
and instruction. Assistant Superintendent Sharp, I can't talk tonight. Assistant Superintendent Sharp can spearhead that with the help of Noel.
Okay.
Anything else before I stumble on some more words?
Dr. Nicholas, I do have a question.
Yes.
And this question is particularly for me to ask on behalf of the community. because I do have knowledge of this. So when do we first post the agenda?
So the agenda there's two rules. A normal board meeting has a 72-hour posting rule, but we post usually midday Friday, the week before the board meeting. A special board meeting, like the meeting we held last night, only requires a 24-hour notice, but that has to follow a specific set of rules, and those include it has to be a specific topic.
Great, thank you very much. I also have a comment. This is a great presentation, and I do see that they're just showing us flowcharts where I know it's kind of in the horizontal way, where we are talking about the curriculum, the reports, and and I think there was one more thing which I missed. So I know that each one is a project by itself, and there is a lot of effort that our coordinators put together in order to identify the tools. I can tell you that many of my friends are moving to Mountain House, and the reason that they state that they want to move to Mountain House is because of the high achieving school district. And that's because of the tools and the reports that we use, which is helping our students to reach that the place where they are able to be high achievers. So I appreciate the effort that you're putting in, and thank you for allowing us to play a role. And every time, as I mentioned earlier too, when I sit here to approve extension of a contract or a tool, I do read through the agenda, and I also view the presentation that's provided, and I also trust the effort that's being put in. So thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent.
Further questions or comments by the board? Thank you. Item 11, calendar. Tuesday, July 4th is Independence holiday. The district office will be closed. Wednesday, July 19th at 3 p.m. will be the ribbon cutting at Evelyn Costa Elementary School. I hope everyone attends, and I hope the wind isn't blowing like crazy like it has at some of our other ribbon cuttings. Item C, Wednesday, July 19th is our next regularly scheduled governing board meeting at 7 p.m. here in the district office boardroom. In just a moment, we will adjourn to closed session where we will be discussing public employee discipline, dismissal, release, complaint, government code 54957, conference with real property negotiators, government code 54956.8, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government code 54956.9, and public employee appointment, employment, evaluation, superintendent, government code 54357.6. I will now entertain a motion.
Sorry,
You may.
my mic was off. And actually, this is going back to the calendar. Is there a time during the summer where the district office is closed completely for a week or two, or?
No, there are a couple of cleaning days.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I'll move to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
On a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Clements, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now adjourned. Thank you all for attending this evening.
Thanks, everybody.